Are there any photos showing Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age?
No.
How do you know that? So, Director Patel, I'm going to ask you a very broad and general question. As you know, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. There are, of course, photos showing Donald Trump together with Epstein, correct?
Welcome back. Tonight, we're strapping in for the latest saga in Washington's least subtle power grab. We're talking about Kash Patel, the man who has managed to turn the director of the FBI into a character straight out of a political action figure line.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Director Patel, for being here today. The FBI searched Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan residence, correct?
I believe that happened in 2018. I think there was 2 locations, sir.
It's 2019, and in that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I don't have the catalog of evidence in front of me.
In that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I'll accept your representation.
Okay. And in that safe, the FBI found topless and lewd photographs of girls, correct?
Again, sir, I'll accept your representation. I don't know.
Thank you. It was all over the media at the time. There's a New York Times article that says Jeffrey Epstein is indicted on sex charges as discovery of nude photos is disclosed, dated July 8th, 2019. And the Times reports a trove of lewd photographs of girls was discovered in a safe inside financier Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Author Michael Wolff has conducted numerous interviews of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to play for you a video clip of what Michael Wolff said Epstein told him was in the safe and what he showed the author was in this safe. So let's please play that clip now.
Elected. I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
So, Director Patel, I'm going to ask you a very broad and general question. As you know, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. There are, of course, photos showing Donald Trump together with Epstein, correct?
I don't have the entirety of the photographs, but I think they've been photographed in public together.
All right. Are there any photos showing Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age?
No,
How do you know that?
because that information would have been brought to light by multiple administrations and FBI investigators over the course of the last 20 years.
Well, you know what? That's just not true, because no one knew about the creepy birthday message that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein until the Wall Street Journal disclosed it, and then all of a sudden, the Epstein estate provides it to Congress.
Well,
So certainly, you weren't there at the search. You don't know what Epstein may or may not have done with those photographs even prior to the search. Maybe someone has it. Maybe the Epstein estate has it.
You raise a great point.
So I'm going to ask you, have you asked to talk to Michael Wolff?
You raise a great point. I haven't personally asked to talk to
Has the
Michael
FBI
Wolff,
asked?
but
you
the
to get Michael
FBI, I'll get back to you if the FBI
Wolff?
specifically
So Michael Wolff
has
has
ever.
about 100 hours of testimony of Jeffrey Epstein. Wouldn't it be good for the FBI to interview Michael Wolff?
I'm not saying they haven't, I just don't know.
Has FBI subpoenaed the tapes that Michael Wolff has conducted of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
All right, so if you could provide us an answer, that would be terrific. Well, let me ask you this question then. Have you looked at all the photos in Epstein files?
I have looked at all the information that the investigators who investigated this case have provided to run out credible leads.
And in the Epstein files, was there that creepy birthday message that Donald Trump had written to Epstein?
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. You raise a great point. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein has a voluminous amount of information that they have not released before.
Okay, so that's great. So Wouldn't it be great if FBI subpoenaed the estate of Jeffrey Epstein for all that information?
The estate is under no obligation to provide that material, even pursuant to a subpoena. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's just false.
Okay.
That's just false. You're the frickin' FBI. You can subpoena the information from the estate, and you better do that. I'd like to move
literally
on.
not how it works.
I'm going to move on now and talk about Epstein's client list. You confirmed that it exists. Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed earlier this year that it exists. So I just want to ask you a simple question. Is Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list?
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names
All right,
that were
is-
in
is-
Jeffrey Epstein's.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index has been released, and the index will speak for
So I'm
itself.
just going to say, America, there's a huge red flag. The FBI director could not answer
Gentlemen.
whether Donald Trump was on Epstein's
Gentleman's time
client
has
list.
expired.
I
You're
yield
now
back.
recognized.
Let's be honest. When you look at the track record, when you look at the public quotes, when you look at the sheer audacity of the man's political and professional trajectory, the word controversy doesn't even begin to cover it. We're talking about a man who, until very recently, was making a career out of publicly attacking the very institution he now leads. It's like a critic being hired as the head chef and then trying to serve the same dish he spent years calling spoiled. The irony is thicker than a DC security file. Patel is the architect of the deep state narrative for a specific wing of the political movement. He literally wrote a children's book where he is a wizard helping the hero king fight off enemies. Now, that is a branding strategy, but when you move from the realm of political fantasy of wizard characters in children's books to the literal director's office of the FBI, you have to answer for the fantasy you helped create. And that is exactly what happened during his recent confirmation hearing. The questions were relentless, and they weren't about policy, they were about loyalty. Senator after senator essentially asked him the same core question. Are you the director of the FBI, or are you a political operative with a badge? This is not the standard questioning you get for a leader of a major intelligence agency. This is what happens when your resume includes more appearances on partisan talk shows than years of non-political leadership. You have a prominent member of the Senate Judiciary Committee looking the nominee dead in the eye and stating, based on his past actions and rhetoric, that they believe he is unfit for the role. That is an absolute demolition in a public forum. It is the political equivalent of being called out on live television for an obvious, easily preventable mistake. The entire process was less of a job interview and more of an intervention. They were trying to talk him out of the job based on his own public record. And what was the defense? When confronted with his own statements where he vowed to purge the agency of those he deemed disloyal, he was forced to backtrack, offering platitudes about the rule of law. But the damage was done. When you spend years building a reputation as a partisan warrior, you don't get to flip a switch and suddenly be seen as a neutral, non-political law enforcement leader. The past receipts are still in the public record. The paper trail is a mile long. And every minute he spends leading the Bureau is a reminder that the line between law enforcement and political patronage has never been thinner. He promised to depoliticize the FBI, but his critics argue his very appointment is the definition of politicization. This is the ultimate self-own. A man who claimed to be fighting the government gangsters is now sitting at the top of the table. The question is, who are the gangsters now? In the crucial, chaotic hours immediately following the shooting, Mr. Patel, via his personal social media platform, announced a major development. A subject was in custody. Cue the celebration from his loyal followers. The problem? That subject was a person of interest who was quickly released after interrogation, meaning the actual killer was still at large for a significant amount of time after the director gave the all clear. This wasn't just a minor PR mistake, it was a stunning break from standard law enforcement protocol. The head of the FBI, whose statements carry immense weight and can actually compromise an ongoing investigation, was putting out incomplete, then incorrect information to his millions of followers. The fallout was immediate and brutal. When he was finally hauled before the Senate Judiciary Committee to account for this blunder, the Democratic ranking member, Senator Dick Durbin, pulled no punches. He served up a quote so perfectly damning it should be etched on the side of the FBI building. I'll give it to you straight. Shut up and let the professionals do their job. That's the official critique delivered to the head of the professionals. It's an indictment of leadership prioritizing personal publicity and political optics over the meticulous, quiet work of catching a killer. Patel's defense? He claimed he was simply being transparent with the public and did not regret the post, only perhaps that he could have worded it a little better in the heat of the moment. That's like saying the Titanic could have worded its sailing plans a little better to avoid the iceberg. It completely misses the point of why established law enforcement protocol exists: to protect the integrity of the evidence and the investigation itself.